Hello everyone, next up, Justice Clan. Can we say about Justice Clan? Well, first of all, Galmi and Goansul are probably the easiest clans to play, and Justice is completely on the other spectrum. It's probably the hardest clan to play in the game, and the less newcomer friendly, I would say. Why is that? Well, Justice, almost all of the cards in Justice are situational. So you have, in order for them to be good, and even in order for them not to be bad, you kind of have to jump through hoops. And when you know all the cards, you know all the combos, and so, that's easier to set up. When you're starting to play, you'll probably just get overwhelmed by the cards in this clan. But very interesting clan to play, and actually very interesting passive as well. It can completely shift the game, and has been shifting the game in the earlier metas. So the passive is also a thing to consider during the draft, not just picking Justice, but either making sure that Justice passive will be there, or making sure that Justice passive has been taken out is also a strong element of this clan. So let's take a look at the level 1s. The first one is Shielded Atalant. So that's easy recruiter. So like the one we've seen in Galmi, and easy to. That one I would say looks easy to play, because you can play it very quickly, and it'll help you develop your other cards. But it doesn't only do recruiter; it also has force of will. So force of will is when your opponent is playing and he tries to activate a token, you can discard this card to disturb that, and basically the token will not trigger. So if he's using a token to draw one, this card won't help you. It's only if he's playing a token on one of his face-up cards to replay the effect of that card. And another quick thing to note is that if he's playing Goansul and he's playing that token on a veteran card, he will still get that +2, +3 military bonus, even if you're discarding your shielded Atalant. So it only stops the effect, not the fact that he played the token. So one thing to keep in mind. So even if this looks like, I would say, a straightforward and easy card to play, actually sometimes keeping it in hand and not playing it is the right play, because of that force of will. So even that, this one is one of the most straightforward cards, and even here there's already choices to keep in mind. Second card we have is Petal Fairies. So Petal Fairies is very, very strong. Petal Fairies, if played correctly, will gain you a token and capture a card on the opponent's side. And if played at the right time, the opponent won't even gain that token back. So first of all, what does it do? It's each player takes one of their token backs and then captures this card captures a bounty card. And if your opponent hasn't used his tokens yet, and you have, playing this card will net you a token, and plus you'll be able to capture a bounty card. One thing to keep in mind when you're playing this card, which another thing that makes it harder to play, is that if you're the only one that has bounty cards, you have to capture your own. You can't avoid that effect if you're playing this card and you're the only one to have bounty card. And you'll be capturing one of your cards, and you won't even be drawing from that, because you only draw when you capture a bounty card of your opponents. So played correctly, you gain a token, you capture a bounty card, you draw a card, which is huge for a level 1 card. Playing not so correctly, your opponent gains a token, you don't. You capture one of your own card and you don't draw one. And that's kind of how justice works. If you really play your cards in the right spot, they can be very strong. But sometimes everything doesn't go your way, and sometimes you can't play them optimally, and most of the time, to really play Justice clan correctly, you have to use your other clans to create those opportunities to play these cards the best as possible. And when your opponent is starting to be very strong as well, he'll start to notice that. And if you're using a token for something that doesn't seem that strong, it might hint for him that you have a Petal Fairies in hand, and he might just want to use a token to force you. If you're playing your Petal Fairies, he'll win that token back as well. And then you can start playing mind games and using a token for nothing, even if you don't have Petal Fairies in hand, and see how your opponent reacts, and so on and so forth. So that's the kind of complexity Justice brings in the balance, and we'll see that balance is a key word for Justice. Next is Arrows of Justice. So this one is a card you can, I would say, easily play. You just play it, you look at your opponent's hand, and you name a card, and then until the end of turn, they cannot play that card. So that can be strong at the beginning of the game, because you'll be able to know exactly what cards are in his hand, and so you won't have to play around everything. You'll know exactly what you need to play around until he's played all his hand and drawn a lot of cards to replace them. So playing it early is actually quite nice. And another way to play that card that can be very strong is when your opponent is starting to only have, I would say, 1 to 3 cards in his hands left. And especially if he doesn't have any tokens left. Because playing that, maybe you can lock the only playable card in his hand and force him to pass for a round, and that can be huge, because if you manage to do that when he was not expecting it, and if he's not too much in front on board or even a little back, that means that you'll be able to just win a round. And winning a round with Justice, we'll see when we get to this card, can mean winning the game. So same thing, arrows can have a huge ceiling if you play it at the right time. And basically, if your opponent has a single card in hand, if he's not a Vilasha and can't do any secret shifts, there's a few extra things. And now there's Umbra and the Shadow Step that comes in the way of that. But let's say sometimes just playing Arrow of Justice can force your opponent to pass his turn, and that for a level 1 is actually pretty strong. One thing to note is that Arrows of Justice and the Shield only have 1 in terms of shift cost, so they're it's easier to replace them, but you might not do that too often, because the Justice cards since they're very situational, sometimes once you manage to get them correctly on the board, you might not want to shift them out unless you have a second Justice in play, because you won't be able to develop that clan at all if you don't manage to start playing your level 1s. Volantis. So Volantis is same thing, very hard card to play. Don't get fooled by the art. It's not a goblin with wings. it's a bird attacking or actually dropping a goblin from the sky. But so what does it do? The player with the most cards in play must sacrifice and open a card, and the player with the most cards in hand must discard a card. So when you're behind on board and in hand, this card is strong because you'll force your opponent to sacrifice a card and discard a card, and that's for level 1. That's pretty useful. But that's hard to do. For example, your player 1, you start playing with the Volantis. You play it and you just have to sacrifice it right away because you'll be the player with the most cards in play. But you're forcing your opponent to discard a card. So playing Volantis turn 1 as a player 1 is play this card, sacrifice it, and force your opponent to discard a card, which sometimes might be the right play, but isn't that strong. And I would say out of all the level 1s, Volantis is probably the card that's the least often played and is more often discarded to get a new color in play than played, even when you're behind. But sometimes it can be a very strong surprise for your opponent and can take him off guard. Typically, if he's building vertically, you play Volantis, you force him to sacrifice a level 3 card in play, and maybe he only has a single card in his hand, and Volantis is your last card in your hand as well. Playing him, you can force him to discard that last card, and that can be strong. L. So L is very versatile. It's maybe one of the only Justice card that is, I would say, easy to play. So you search your deck for a card of your choice and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Depending on the combination you have, I would say most of the times I see L grabbing Justice, because if you're playing L, unless you're shifting it in, it means you often have a level 1 in play. L is your level 2, so that means you'll be able to play Justice, and playing Justice and flipping over one of your tile is often a pretty good advantage. But L also, don't just kind of tunnel vision and each time you play L, go grab Justice. When you play L, you kind of need to assess the situation and go grab the card that will help you the most. If the card that will help you the most is Disruption, go get Disruption. If it's a Byuyunja because you just need one last token to finish off, and with that Byuyunja the conditions aren't too strong, maybe that's the card you're looking for. So don't just tunnel vision, and when you play L, kind of really think, what's the situation? Know the cards you have most of the time, and don't do like I've seen it. You don't play L to then take a look at your deck and see what card you really want. When you play L, you should already have a plan in your head. So when you're playing L because you need to go get a card that's really important, and you normally have already decided on what's the card you want and what's the card that's the best for this situation. Next is Neza, the panda. So Neza has a Kasha. It did not at the beginning of the game. And what does this card do? At the end of your turn, it's passive. If you have no cards in hand, draw 2 cards. That can be very strong. That can be strong with Volantis, for example. If you once Neza is in play, if Volantis is your last card, you can play Volantis, force your opponent to discard a card, and you'll draw 2, which is nice. Neza, as we've seen, can also be very strong with the Narashima cards, the 2 ones that force you and your opponent to discard cards, because you'll be discarding your cards, and since you, at the end of the turn, if you have no cards in play, that's when you draw 2. It's at the end of the turn. So you can use all your cards during your turn and then draw 2 at the end. So this can easily become a strong drawing engine. And the only downside of Neza is that it has no effect when it comes to play, unless it was the last card in your hand. In that case, you'll draw 2 directly. But it doesn't have an effect when you put it into play directly, and it will often be a target for your opponent. So don't expect your Neza to stay around too long. If your opponent has a disruption, this card will be taken care of pretty quickly. Now that it has a Kasha, it can also be interesting to take a look at what clans can kind of abuse that. And the 2 first that come in mind are Tomorrow, because you can use Ease to take the panda out of the game, and then you'll be the only one to have that Akasha and have the panda passive. Your opponent will not. And same thing with Abu Nakashi. Abu Nakashi has Akaje, which can help you get rid of exile one of your cards, and exiling the panda will be really strong and a strong advantage. So those are interesting. There's also a new cards in Astrae, which will help you, and I forgot to mention the Yume in Abu Nakashi, which can also help you exile Neza. So playing Neza can be strong, but it will be a good target for your opponent. Exiling your Neza is even stronger, and your opponent won't be able to do anything about that, and then you'll have the passive until the end of the game. Also, if Justice has been banned from the game, Neza will be a passive for both players. And one clan that can really thrive on that for me is Abilasha, because each time your hand is empty, you draw 2, and lots. I would say the medium shift card cost for cards is 2, and when you're secret shifting, it only costs you 2 cards from your hand. When you're doing a normal shift, a card that has 2 in shift cards actually costs you 3. So the panda isn't enough to bring cards in your hand to reshift a card. While when you're having Abilasha, this card, for example, it's in game, you just emptied your hand, you draw 2 from the panda, you can secret shift this card, bring a new one in play, and you'll draw 2 at the end of the turn because of the panda passive. And that's why Justice plus Abilasha is, or at least the panda and Abilasha is often a very strong combo. Next up, we have Kwai. So what does Kwai do? The player with the most cards in play sacrifices open cards until they control as many as their opponent. So this card can sometimes completely swing games. Basically, one opponent is pretty far ahead in terms of board compared to the other, and if the other player finds his Kwai, he'll be able to crawl back. If he doesn't, he'll just lose the game. And this card kind of has that feeling, either I get it and I'm back, or I don't and I lose. And that's where another, again, Justice plus Abilasha can be very strong, because when you have Abilasha, basically all your level 2s in play will make sure that you don't need Kwai in your hand to have that threat of clearing your equalizing at your opponent's board with yours, but you just need Kwai in your discard, and that can make a very big difference. And once Kwai is in your discard, any level 2, any Abilasha level 2 becomes a huge threat for your opponent, because anytime you have enough cards in hand and you really need it, you can force your opponent to sacrifice all of his board to match yours. And we've seen that with Arrows of Justice, you can sometimes force your opponent to pass. With Volantis, same thing. If you manage to make him discard his last card, and we'll see that with Turak we can have kind of the same effect. Or even if he only has tokens left and you use your Shielded Atlan to block his tokens, basically if you manage to force your opponent to pass before you, then playing Kwai, which will equalize your boards, and then just playing 2 extra cards can manage you to win that first round, or second round if you lost already the first, but basically will help you towards a justice victory. And that's when Kwai really shines. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that not all boards are equal. So just because you have Kwai doesn't mean that when your opponent will sacrifice his cards, he will have the same amount of military as you do on your board. First of all, if your board is, I would say, horizontal, mostly, and his is vertical, he will have more power, because if you have 3 level 1s, you have 6 in terms of power. If he has 1 level 1, 1 level 2, and 1 level 3, both of you have 3 cards, but he has 10, you have 6. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Just playing Kwai doesn't mean that you will equal your opponent's military. And then you have also a few exceptions. For example, the Goansul, any Goansul card with a token on it is counted double, so that can also help him, or you, if you're playing Justice plus Goansul. And then take in consideration also corruption tokens, take in consideration cards that have solo, which can make a very big difference. So Phoenix, you have Rook, Riyadh, sorry, and you also have Galmi, which are cards that have solo and can kind of shift the balance. So Kwai might not solve all your problems, but can be a pivotal and a very strong card. Next up is Sati. So, and I forgot to say with Kwai, there's also the Phoenix passive, which can strongly influence the military forces you have. Next, you have Sati. So Sati is draw cards until you have as many as your opponent. Same thing, situational card, and can be huge. It can be a draw 7, which is huge. Most of the time, once you get it to be able to be a draw 2, draw 3, it's probably the right time to play it. It's not worth waiting for the moment where your opponent will have 6 cards in hand and you'll only have Sati. That won't happen too often, so just waiting for that might not work. So once Sati draws you 2 or 3 cards, it's probably already a good time to play. If you're sure that you'll be discarding cards in the next turns, and then maybe wait a bit and you'll be able to draw 4 with Sati. Or if you know your opponent is probably soon gonna use his token to draws, then maybe wait an extra turn and Sati will draw you 2, even 2 more cards. But already playing it for a draw 2, draw 3 can be strong. playing it for a draw 5 can sometimes win you games. So that's how Sati works. One thing to note about Sati is if you have more cards than your opponents will not draw cards to match yours. So it's not like Kwai, where it's the opponent with the less cards in hands that draws. It's you're the only one who is able to draw with Sati. Next up is Turak. So Turak, all the Magic the Gathering, old Magic the Gathering players probably know that black cards, which makes you discard 2 random cards from your hand, and Turak is built the same way. It's you're going to use Turak to force your opponent to discard cards from their hand. Turak is probably one of the cards that is the most, I would say, newcomer destroying card. Now we have Umbra, we have Shadow Step, which doesn't mean that the game automatically stops. But before that, your opponent uses his tokens before you. You shift Turak into play to have 0 cards in hand. Your opponent is forced to destroy their entire hand, and no more tokens. Basically, they need to pass, giving you the first, basically often giving you the first round, and that play is can be very strong. Same thing, Abhilasha plus Justice. Once you have Turak in your graveyard, your opponent needs to know that any level 2 Abhilasha card in play at any time means that he can Turak to, if he has not many cards in play in hand, he'll probably be able to Turak to 0 and force you to discard your whole hand. So basically, Justice is kind of a toolkit. This to discard, this to draw, this to make him sacrifice his board, this to regain tokens and capture cards, so on and so forth. And that's why Abhilasha, I'm always going to be mentioning Abhilasha with Justice, because once all your Justice cards are in your discard, Abhilasha becomes really strong, because with the secret shift, that means that all your Justice cards in your discard become a toolkit that is directly available for your Abhilasha cards, and meaning that anytime you need, you can Kwai, you can Turak, you can even Arrow of Justice. Your opponent goes to one card, boom, you secret shift an Apostle of the Night into Arrows of Justice. You block that one card if he doesn't have any tokens left, and he doesn't have any Umbra or Shadow Steps. He's forced to pass, and maybe you can win the round that way. So Justice, situational toolkit, and so when having these cards in hand can be tough to play, when just having them in your graveyard, you're able to play them. That just makes them very, very strong. So Turak, I would say a newcomer basher. If you haven't been Turak to 0 yet, don't be surprised if it happens, and you'll not forget it, and you'll learn. It might need to happen to you a few times before you really keep that in mind, but that can be huge. Justice. So Justice, when Justice comes into play, you'll shift one of your tiles. Depending on the clans you're playing with, that can be more or less strong. I'll be going back to Abhilasha. Abhilasha's passive is probably one of the strongest in the game. So again, if you're playing Justice plus Abhilasha, sometimes it's just worth it to just go get Justice to unlock that Abhilasha passive and have it for the rest of the game. And in that case, L into Justice is probably not tunnel vision, probably the best play because you'll be unlocking this and having that for the rest of the game. Some other tiles that are interesting to switch: Xian. This will strongly help you get all your level 3s out and can really help you get that 15 card victory, because once you have the level 3s in hand, you can play them. You don't have to develop all your colors on level 1 and level 2 to make it happen. Tomorrow, if you're playing Justice, Tomorrow plus a third clan, and that third clan has a strong level 3, then maybe switching over the Tomorrow tile will, and then, I don't know, playing a Narashima twice or something like that with the echo you just gained can be back-breaking, so pretty strong. Abu Nakashi is nice. Phoenix is nice. Narashima, you need to be careful because typically if your opponent is kind of playing on corruption, giving you corruption, then swapping that card can be a problem on your side. So kind of Narashima, you need to be careful. It can sometimes be a very good card to tile to swap. Switch over, but be careful. And same thing with Galmi. Now that Galmi is swapping it is an end condition, you really need to make sure that you won't be on the short end of the stick for that win condition. Goansul can. I usually try to tend to avoid having Justice and Goansul in the same combination, but if you do, typically, I don't know, playing Xian, Justice, Goansul, you'll hopefully get your draw with Xian, your aggression, and copy your aggression with Goansul, copying your aggression with Xian, and hoping for Justice to finish off. In that case, swapping the Goansul tile can help you win the game in one single round. And Rook, if it's not the passive, if you're the only one to have the Rook passive, that can be very strong to fight against aggression. So if your opponent has Goansul, for example, being able to play your Justice, first of all, you'll get the passive with the Ethereal on it once you play, once Justice is in play. So that will protect you against Goansul. And if you're playing Justice plus Rook, if you switch that Rook tile, you'll also be a lot stronger against captures. So Justice plus Rook is actually pretty strong against Goansul. We'll see that when we talk about Rook. If you get behind on board, be careful to not lose against that 10-point difference. But with Justice, you can also have Kwai to kind of try to catch up if needed. So Justice also has that passive to get that Ethereal token, which can help you defend against aggression. Typically kind of shuts down very strongly Onigiri. So that in mind. The other thing that's really important about Justice is the other part, meaning that if you've won a great battle, in that case, turning over all 3 of your tiles is directly the end of the game. And we've seen that there are lots of cards where you can kind of force your opponent to pass if he doesn't have the right cards in play. So Shadow Step, Umbra, and so on. So correctly play Turak. If he just passed and then you correctly play a Kwai, you can kind of manage to get in front. correctly play arrows of justice. All that can help you secure and win a round. And if you do, then one of your main objectives will probably be to just turn over the 3 tiles and directly win like that. One thing I forgot to say about Turak is, like the Narashima cards, it's also very strong with Neza, whether you've managed to exile it or whether it's in play, because you're going to Turak yourself to 0, your opponent will lose all his cards, and then you'll draw back 2. So another strong interaction which can make Turak even stronger. Back to Justice. So basically there are some cards in the Justice arsenal which can help you win a round. Justice doesn't look like an aggressive deck, but there are some cards that can manage to give you that first round and set up that extra win condition. Once that is set up, Justice on its own, it'll probably be hard to get it done, but some strong clans to help you would be Abilasha, because you can then Dark Cultist multiple times on your Justice to swap the remaining tiles you need. And that's even stronger if Rook is as passive, because your opponent won't even be able to capture your level 1 underneath your Justice to prevent you from doing it. So Abilasha, another strong synergy between Abilasha and Justice. Another one to take in consideration can be Xian, because Xian can copy the Justice effect. So basically you need to play Justice only twice plus Xian, or Xian twice plus Justice. And another card to strongly keep in mind is Neo, because when you play Justice, if Justice is your level 3, the furthest to the right, it will have the ethereal token on it, meaning that it cannot be captured. So if the card underneath has a shift card, shift cost, then you can replace it with Neo, and you'll be able to aim Justice twice. So let's say you won a round, you manage to play Justice. So you're shifting one of your tile, doesn't matter which one. Next turn, you shift the card underneath, you shift cast Neo underneath Justice, aim it twice, end of the game. So Neo can be also a strong surprise for your opponent if he's not careful. And actually, once you have a lot of games in Neo, once Justice has won a round, tracking where is Neo and is Neo a threat becomes very important, and you really need to be wary of his positioning. One thing to note, if you're trying this combo, if you play another level 3 after Justice, it will lose the ethereal token, so your combo will not work because your Justice will be captured. Another fun interaction is that you only win if Justice is switching that third tile, not if you have all 3 tiles switched. It's not a passive. It's when you're playing the Justice come into play effect. If you have all 3 tiles, then you win. So I've seen games where the Justice player had 2 tiles swapped, and you can have an Abu Nakashi player that plays Sati and forces your opponent, either playing a token on Sati or just playing Sati, and your opponent doesn't want to corrupt himself. Basically, you're forcing your opponent to swap his third tile. And in that case, when you'll be playing Justice, if I'm not mistaken, you have to turn one of your, it's not a you may turn one of your tile, it's you have to turn it. So if all three of your tiles are turned and you're playing Justice, basically you're unswapping one of your tile and you're not winning the game. So fun interaction to know. Last card of Justice is the Byuyunja, and that one is exactly like the Goansul one. It's a Byuyunja that will only be able to win you one token in the whole game, because if you're losing 2 tokens with him, you've already lost the game. So if you lose a great battle, it's and your opponent does not win the game. So the fact that he wins his second great battle will come first before you finishing your 4th token, your 5th token. So this Byuyunja can only gain you a token on the first round, on the great battle of the first round. And if you're playing against Goansul or the Goansul passive, you might win your token, but you might also lose the game. But sometimes it can be a strong threat to your opponent. If you have Galmi plus Justice, you pass first, and even if your opponent is ahead on the board, just passing first can net you some 2 extra tokens, and you'll only want to go. Just make sure you're not losing the round while you're passing. That's it. So that's it for the Justice cards. What is Justice strong with? I think I've said it a few times, but Abhilasha is a very, very, very strong contender to play with Justice. Xian can also be pretty strong with Justice, especially with that Neo effect that can help. Tomorrow can sometimes be good with Justice, because if Tomorrow is in play, or if you swap that tile, then you only need to play Justice twice to win if you manage to win a round. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And if we're talking about 3 clans, one of the, I would say, a combination that I find pretty strong is Abhilasha, Narashima, and Justice. Because, as I was saying, Abhilasha plus Justice is very strong once you have all your Justice cards in your discard. But Abhilasha doesn't have a lot of draw. Justice has very situational draw. So basically you need a 3rd clan to either draw or get your cards in your discard pile, and that's where Narashima can shine. And so Abhilasha plus Narashima plus Justice can be good. Going back on the Justice plus Tomorrow, you also have Ease to take your exile your panda, which can be a nice thing. And Justice plus Abu Nakashi, so he has Abu Nakashi has a few cards to exile your panda, but that's not a combination I've seen too often. Might have to test it out and see what it does. But Justice plus Abhilasha, that's a pretty sure pick. And that's about it for this clan video. A little longer than the other clans, because these cards are probably a little more specific. But hope you enjoyed it, and see you for the next one. Bye.